If you ever been at a McDonald's or any fast restaurant, as far as that goes, early in the morning, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you look over and you see that table, and around that table is 3 or 4 guys, gray hair, older guys. They got the small senior coffee there, and they're there every day, every day. I know guys like that. I know guys that worked in factories every day of their life for 20, 30 plus years. They went to the same place every day. They had some place to go. And when they retired, they were still looking for that kind of a thing. So they get up early in the morning and they go to the fast food restaurant. They get that senior coffee and maybe they get breakfast. And those guys would sit there and maybe talk for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, get those free refills. Maybe you've seen that. Every city, every town, every morning. And it's guys who have names like Smitty, Buddy, Eddie, guys who worked in a factory, guys who went to an office, and they went to the same place every day. And it was their routine. And then when they retired, they wanted to kind of keep that routine. And there's nothing wrong with this. This is a really, it's a good way to be social. It's a good way to relate to other people who had a life like you had. I guess the question is, though, for some people, it is your identity, and some people, they do very well in retirement. They adjust. There's probably a period of time when when they have to go through it and make some adjustments, but they do adjust. But I think that for some people, they might be not that way. They might kind of lose their identity a little bit. And I think probably there's some depression and things like that go along with it too. And I know that's not something that we want to talk about too much, but it's probably something that's out there. I've got a story about someone that was close to me in my life, and he had a great job. He had a super job. He was in the banking business. He had a big job there. He was a senior vice president. He made very important decisions, and he loved his work. And he told me many times, because I knew him when he was working, and I also knew him when he retired. And he's a very charismatic guy who could walk into a room and you knew he was there. And this was when he was working. Then I had a situation one time where I was at a gathering, and I was sitting next to another guy who was an older guy who also had a big job, but he was retired. And he was considerably older than the friend that I'm talking about, and considerably older than me. And he said to me, now his name was Charlie, and Charlie said to me, he said, you see how he walked into the room and everybody kind of paid attention to him and so on? Yeah, he said, he's still working. He's got a big job. He's got a big presence. He said, that'll change. That'll change when he retires. And at that point, I was like, it just kind of stuck in the back of my mind. So later I thought about that years later, when this person I knew retired. And Charlie was kind of right. That big job that he had, that identity, that was him, his job. It's not that he didn't have a family or love his family. He did all that too. But his job was probably the dominant thing in his life as far as his self-esteem and where he got his enjoyment. He enjoyed his job. Nothing wrong with that either. But Charlie was right. And then my friend who he maintained his charisma. He was still a charismatic guy. He still enjoyed his family after retirement. But I did see a change in him. And I think the adjustment that he had to make was more about, I'm not that important guy anymore. I'm not needed in the same way. Now, I don't want to dwell on that as if, that changed his life much, because I don't think it changed it that much. He still enjoyed his life, and he was fortunate enough to have a good retirement situation. He got to travel and do things like that. But I guess my point is, again, I'll go back to this, that as men, so often we form our identity from our jobs. And if you think about it, our jobs are where we spend most of our time. You get up in the morning, you got to commute to work, there's a half hour, an hour, whatever it is, and you spend 8 hours there, and you do the same thing on the way home. So all of a sudden you've got 10 hours into what your job is. And yeah, you come home and you relax, but there's just so much time that you spend in that job. And you do this for years and years and years, it kind of becomes your identity. I think from a mental health point of view, there probably should be more attention paid to retirement adjustment. Adjusting to the fact that you don't do that anymore. It's kind of like, I've heard the old saying that, there's no course, maybe there is a course, but no one can tell you how to be a father. All of a sudden you are a father. No one can tell you how to be a mother. All of a sudden you are a mother. Yeah, you kind of have some ideas. But it's kind of the same way with retiring. You think you know what you're getting into. You think you know how it's going to be. But, and maybe there are some support groups out there. I don't know that either. But if there aren't, there should be. Because there are adjustments to make, especially for men. I guess for women too. But I can relate to the man thing because I know people. I know Smitty and Buddy and Eddie. So if you've hung with me this long, I really do appreciate your time. Maybe you consider giving me a like and maybe subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.